Coming up, a Sad Styles production.
Get into it.
And welcome to the Retrograde, the video game podcast where this week we answer your spooky questions. The scariest episode of the month. My name's Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself, Mikey, ere when the bell tolls, your time is come. Worth. We're doing Retrograde, guys. We're right into the heart. We're a stake in the heart of Retrograde right now, the scariest month of them all.
Yeah, we are. Question for you. You mentioned stakes and hearts,
yes.
and I have questions for you because our listeners have questions for us this week, and this is what we're going to be doing for the entirety of the episode. But before we get to that, Andrew, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Stakes and hearts. What mythical beast, creature of horror do you think you would have the best chance of killing?
Mummy.
Let's take Mummy.
Yeah.
Mummies. Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Why are
Moving on, next question. What else you got?
Why are they so strong? In like movies? Because isn't that one of their things? They have like super strength.
Yeah, I think that.
Have you ever seen one in real life?
I've seen someone that's been mummified.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been to one of these horrible colonizing museums.
No, mine was in Egypt.
Oh, you actually went to one in Egypt?
Yeah.
You just started digging and found one, or?
Well, I just figured I could take one and bring it to a British museum and then see it better there.
They give one away when you're at the airport.
They're under so much protection because if you touch them, they'll turn to dust.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of them.
No.
Which horror creature? I'm still struggling. Take two. Would you most want to be hunting you?
What? Would I want them to be hunting?
Maybe there's some fun. Maybe it is a mummy and you just, punch a hole through it.
Yeah, okay, but that's the thing. Okay, so back to the mummy sex. I don't feel like I got to fully clarify this one. But
well, you said next question.
Well, it was being facetious, but it's just, I would say that there are very different types of mummies. You watch the mummy, like Tom Cruise, the mummy.
Yes.
And you're like, that thing is rabid and wild and stuff like that. Then you watch a classic one that they're just lumbering and kind of zombie-like.
Right.
But then we sped those up and now we sped mummies up too. So
the interesting thing is.
I almost said mommies.
We did speed.
Who do you want to kill? Mommy. Oh boy.
Lois.
Yes. Dr. Freud stands up from his casket. It's oh, very interesting. I'm like, not now.
A mummified Dr. Freud. You mentioned because you've seen The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Counterpoint, no, they haven't. No one saw that movie.
That movie doesn't exist.
I don't think it did.
One of my favorite things is the Dark Universe, the Dark Universal universe that
didn't happen.
That didn't happen because it's just Marvel did this thing where they're like, we made a Marvel Cinematic Universe. How much they actually had planned, I think, is sometimes over thought out. They're like, oh, and then they did this and they did this. I was like, well, actually, a lot of things were rolling with the punches.
You're talking Marvel?
I'm talking Marvel.
Yeah.
And so then people looked at Marvel and went, oh man, we need to get our own connected universe. And so, but the difference was everybody planned everything out. So Universal did one where it was going to be Russell Crowe as Jekyll and Hyde. Tom Cruise but is being hunted by a mummy. Yeah, he's not the mummy. Don't worry.
He's not Van Helsing or any other notable monster hunter.
No, we wouldn't wrap him up. Like you can't cover that beautiful face.
Not.
And then it was oh my God, Javier Bardem was going to be Frankenstein. And then somebody else very famous was going to be something else. And you're just like, and they have a photo shoot together.
That's amazing.
They have them all planned. They're like, don't you fucking worry. One movie comes out and they're like, let's get the fuck out of this business. Yep.
Was Connected Universes the cryptocurrency of Hollywood?
Yeah, it's the NFT cryptocurrency. You pick one. You know what I mean? The cryptocurrency. Hope everyone's Dogecoin is doing okay. To answer your question though, about from 60 minutes ago was which one would I want to be hunted? If I was a brave man that was like a Van Helsing type, I think it would be the werewolf because you kind of go like, is tomorrow a full moon? Fuck yeah. And you kind of strap on some leather gloves and you're like, I'm going to kick the shit out of the werewolf.
And similar to how teachers and firefighters have very easy jobs because there's designated break periods of long times.
I could go on.
I think Van Helsing also has a pretty easy job because for 21 days of every month, what are you worried about?
Yeah, exactly. Is it every 21 days is a full moon?
Isn't it? Oh no, because I think it waxes and wanes. So maybe every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So it can't be much harder than being a firefighter.
Somehow that's related to the tides and that's somehow related to women's period cycle, and I don't know what's going on with the world.
No. Women's period cycle's witchcraft, Andrew.
Oh, sorry. Which also the thing I would not want to be haunted by.
A witch.
Oh no, women's period cycle. Thank you very much.
I don't think us as men could handle it.
No, God, no. We could handle being a firefighter, like easy jobs like that.
If men had, not to do this, but if men had periods.
It's a good movie. You should write this.
If men had periods.
Yeah. It's the What Women Want sequel.
Yes.
Mel Gibson should be in this one too, because it will be equally unappealing.
We'd all hate Jews. If men had periods.
What Women Want to, sugar tits.
What men want to :
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. What Women Want. Oh, no. See, I even did it.
If men had periods, you would be able to take like 3 or 4 sick days every month. No questions asked.
Oh, absolutely. And the product would be free.
Yes, that's true too. That's true too. Thank God we don't.
Oh,
because we got to make money off it.
hey, guys, I got to make a full $1 to everyone 75 cents.
Am I going to hand out sick days every week? No. Give me a break. Here's the correct answer to that question. And I'm not kidding. I've always wanted this for me and for my friends. I want to be hunted by a killer doll.
Really?
Like Chucky.
Yes.
Because not a fucking chance that thing is getting the jump on me. No way. There's not a chance. You just raise your like lock it out, first of all. Second of all.
Solid plan.
Second of all, just raise your doorknob like a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when you want to have some fun, you let it in. And it's going to amble after you with a knife that's half its size, and you just boot it in the face. Right. I would have so much fun with that.
This goes back to your long-standing beef with Kirby.
It's barely even a beef.
Right.
It's like, it's one-sided. He thinks he can take
lean
me.
Beef.
I know I can take him. It's lean beef.
Yeah.
You don't think you could beat?
No, because it's never just like, I'm a crazy doll that's going to kill you.
It is in the first Chucky's.
I agree. But humans naturally are weak. This is why I'm always amazed that we kind of got to
our
the
listeners,
top of the
maybe.
food. Well, hey, don't we know it? But is that this is why I was always amazed that we got to the top of the food chain. For the first 9 years of our lives, we're kind of useless.
Yeah.
And, real useless.
Yeah.
But is that like we have to sleep? If some of our schedules don't go perfectly that day, we get a little cranky and maybe off, like not as normal.
Sure.
That doll doesn't. That doll is just intended 24/7 to kill you.
Yeah, but you know what?
He'll find a moment of weakness.
You know what that doll can't do?
What's that?
Open a locked door. Like I think I could create a safe enough space.
Okay, but your issue is you're treating an enchanted doll with the same powers of a human, going like, well, they can't jump very tall and they're not very strong.
Yeah.
Well,
based on the movies, they can't.
Yeah, but there's like 9 of them. I don't know. It's probably all changed.
They can go to space.
They can't go to space. They engage with leprechauns. They go to the hood.
They do. Well, wait. The leprechaun goes to the hood. I don't think.
Yes,
Chucky
and he
goes
probably
to the hood.
taught Chucky about his teachings and findings.
Everything you do.
Okay, take your notebook out.
I'm finally gonna find the end of a rainbow. I'm gonna find that pot of gold.
Beat the shit out of a leprechaun.
No, I let the leprechaun go, but I reach into that pot of gold, and there's the Chucky. He's waiting there because he learned everything he knew.
I agree with you.
So
I agree with you.
I still think I could kick their ass. I think that would be fun. I think it would be fun.
It'd be fun. You know what? I've always liked in horror movies when they fight back for half a second.
Yes.
Instead of just running the whole time, you're like, screw this. I'm going to try my best. You're going to die. That's totally fine. But I remember in the classic
House of Wax.
Yep.
I knew Andrew.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Chad Michael Murray.
Yes.
Buffalo Bills fan. Chad Michael Murray. Eventually goes, screw this, and turns around and punches the guy right in the nose.
Yeah.
And it's very satisfying. And then is immediately killed. But you know what? He went out with his boots on. So there's something to be said about that.
He got his pound of flesh.
It's
great.
Yeah.
And then he became a pound of flesh.
And he became a pound of flesh, or he became, I don't know, somebody's nightside candle or something like that, or,
so
whatever.
Yeah, House of Wax.
Yeah.
Similar in premise to Don't Be Afraid, kind of. Game from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's... Wait, how so?
Well, because, Don't Be Afraid.
Oh, the mannequin side.
Yeah, the mannequin side.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, that you all become mannequins in... but that's the other one, too, is... Like, the original House of Wax is interesting, the Vince Price and all that kind of stuff. But the remake's interesting where it's... I don't know. It's tough to follow because if you were just driving through small town America, right, in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, come see our wax figurine museum beside a gas station and nothing else, you'd be like... I don't know about this, guys.
I think you would have to go. Are you kidding me?
Really?
That's like one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes is the it's from one of the more recent seasons,
Okay.
and I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically the Black Museum or something like
Sure.
that. And it's this guy who collects artifacts from what end up being like a lot of the Black Mirror anthology stories.
Oh.
But it's like next to a gas station and there's nothing else there. And I'm like, that's a really cool, like, how do you not go into something like that? But I would go in and I would be terrified.
Mhm.
I was on vacation last year and I was with my player
Rag.
one. Yeah, I take them. I take them. Doesn't matter. I use all my saved up vacation time because I don't have to waste them on being off because of my period.
Yeah.
I use it for something I want to do. And we were, my player one and I, we went on a wine tour. And we just found this tour company online. We agreed to go on the tour. And halfway through the tour, we get to our first like cellar, and it's really dark, and it's just me.
You mean not someone selling wine? You mean cellar. Like
wine
underground?
cellar. Yes, underground. And there's big wooden doors, and it's very damp, and you can hear water falling down. And I'm like, it wouldn't be out of the question for this to be a trap and for them to go hostile on us.
Yes.
And I legitimately started to get a little panicky. I wouldn't go anywhere unless the tour guide walked in front of me first. I didn't want to be behind him. Like I just started to get like I'm not letting this happen. I'm going to be the Chad Michael Murray. I'm going to get a punch in and I'm going to run because I'm faster than my player one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know,
You'd also trip her.
I would 100%.
Knock her to the ground. Take her.
When I said I'm going to punch her in the face, I meant my player one.
I got to get a fight in, which is, of course, punching a loved one to knock them unconscious.
Wait. I'm on your side.
I hate these guys. I'm with you. You're just like, you're the person that does the bootlicking. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
North Korea invades. You're like, hello, welcoming conquerors.
I've got Stockholm syndrome before I've even been kidnapped.
I've never been to Stockholm.
I'm going to the classifieds and just looking for like what hostage takers need assistance.
I feel the same way too, where you're like, it is amazing that horror movies have taught us so much of going like, well, don't do that. Or
Yeah.
don't do this. And then we often on vacation do the exact same thing that would lead us to doing this.
Because we're like, clearly it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah, my player one and I, we're in a warm climate, so we kept going to these beaches, like traveling to these beaches, and I kept going like, what if this is the beach from Old? and my player one's like, okay, that was funny the first time. You got to stop doing this. I'm like, this could make us old. You don't know what the properties of Old were.
I love the idea that you're talking about horror movies and the bad decisions people make, and your example of that is going to the beach.
Going to the beach, not Jaws. No.
Was Old good?
You would not like it.
Okay.
I've known you enough
Yeah.
now that I've started to
I
predict.
trust you with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Although you weren't sure if I was going to like Nope.
Yes, I wasn't sure you
Yeah.
were going to like Nope. There was also something recently where I said, I don't know if this is for you, and you also liked it. So maybe I'm getting a little bit colder on this. But it's a great scary movie month.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to, for anyone out there listening, please send it to us at Retrograde Pod mostly.
Recommendations?
Recommendations for
Yeah.
scary things right now. I want to consume all the scariness.
I do. I love a good scary movie these days. I just don't like pop-out scares, but there are a lot of them. A lot of good ones out there. We talked a ton already about Talk to Me, and that's
Yeah,
a fantastic
Talk to Me.
one.
Very good.
Yeah, if you have some recommendations out there, my player one and I are looking for like a new one every couple nights. Just watch a little spooky movie.
Spooky.
Have you seen Skinamarink? One last question before we get into our
Yes, I
questions.
have.
Is it good?
I didn't like it.
Oh, really?
It's just a bunch of creepy kids going like, and you're like, okay.
That's stupid. Is it so not a good story and not?
I don't know. If you really want a really good, Shudder is a video service, movie service that they make original movies too, and it's only horror.
Yeah.
They always have a very interesting one, but it feels like a very Shudder movie where it's like just super low budget, and you're like, this is going to be for a very select amount of people.
That's fair.
And I
That's
wasn't
fair.
one of them.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I wanted to check because it was one that we considered, and I kept seeing articles online saying it was the scariest movie ever made.
Wow. Not for me, but
Yeah.
I could see how some people would think that. Yes.
Okay. I don't love the trope of scary kids.
Yeah, kids that can like all knowing and yeah.
Poltergeist got it right the first time.
Poltergeist is fantastic.
It's amazing.
Still
That's
just
an
absolutely
amazing
rips.
movie.
Toby Hooper, man, the amount of movies that he directed from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because he was the one that did the original one, for like maybe $47.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then they make the scariest movie of all time.
Yeah.
And also just a very loose understanding of what Texas Chainsaw Massacre is when people are like Leatherface. You're like, do you see the first movie?
Yeah.
He's kind of the ninth built character.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But he has the most iconic shot at the end with the sunrise.
Running out with the chainsaw and a very iconic character, and those always help. Let's get into it, Andrew. Let's get into our questions. We put it out there on our social media, and people are always welcome to send us questions whenever they want. We fielded a lot of questions, some of which were just pulled from past questions people had asked in anticipation of Retrograde.
Oh my goodness.
You and I always talk, Andrew, about what we're going to do for theme months and stuff, and the one guarantee seems to be Retrograde because people seem to like it that much. Let's get started. Kevin from Michigan asks, I've never sent a question before. This is an example of the one I think that maybe it wasn't. Never mind.
Okay.
I've
First time, long time.
Never sent a question before, but as a lover of all mediums except books, nice. I'm always interested. That's just for Kevin.
Yeah, you got it, Kevin.
Wonder if it's Kevin McAllister.
Oh my God. I put my hands to my face just in case you're not watching.
I think they heard it.
Yeah, they heard me slapping my meaty cheeks.
Yeah. And
which ones? Which ones, baby?
I'm always interested in hearing you talk about the intersection of movies and video games. If nothing else, it gets my imagination flowing. You've talked about directors who should make games, developers who should make movies, and more. But for RetroGrave, what about horror movies which need to be turned into games?
Oh, that's really interesting.
I love this because I just love, you and I do this a lot on the podcast as well. We did it more on our Patreon before, but now we've started to do it on the main feed where we imagine what certain games would be like. And there's just this weird giddiness I get to imagining what most developers would probably be like, yo, that's impossible. But I like doing it no matter what. They're like, do you have 10 years of development time and produce? Yeah. I'm going to say number one, that I've got, the Babadook.
Yeah.
But it's not what you're thinking. You have two Tamagotchis. One is for your little kid who's a little shithead. And the other is for your grief. Metaphorical form of the Babadook.
Yeah.
You have to take care of both of them.
Oh,
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, I've got a couple now. Okay, there's a movie that came out when I was a kid. I don't know how popular it was, but it was like popular because I was a teenager and you consumed a lot of scary movies at the time. It was called Darkness Falls.
Oh.
And it was about a town with a lighthouse, prominent lighthouse in it. And there was a ghost that was haunting the town and would attack you if you fell into darkness.
Oh, nice.
And so you had to keep lights on.
Oh, that's great.
And you had to do things. And so much so the ghost would like attack the generator and like all the kind of stuff. I could see this as a video game just like 1-to-1. You don't even need to change anything, but just like always having power.
It almost feels like that would have happened in another game. Like that's such a good premise for like how many times are you playing a horror game and it's like, oh, the lights have turned off and when you're in the darkness, something's about to happen.
Totally. And it's just like a bag of batteries and flashlights or candles. And like you're always like preparing instead of ammo, like that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Survival horror, but for light.
Wasn't there a movie recently that was like that where the creature couldn't touch the light? And it wasn't a town or anything like that, but it was like anywhere the lights were off, the creature could get to.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good trope.
Lights out or something like that. It is a good trope.
And I know, what's his name? Alan Wake. I know he's got to carry a flashlight and everything.
True.
But
thank God he's got all those Duracell batteries. Was it Duracell or Energizer?
I think it was Duracell. Yeah, but thank God, because otherwise he'd be dead.
No, he'd be
and we wouldn't be
dead.
getting the sequel.
The Squeakle.
Yeah, the chipmunks are the co-stars in this one. I think the other ones I'd say is like it would be really great for Cronenberg to make a video game or to be consulting in a video game.
God, that's great.
Just because he is such a visual, twisted mind of just a very normal older man.
Yeah.
But the way he presents story, I think that'd be really cool. And then the other one is who's very familiar with video games.
Yeah.
He's a star of video games himself. I'm talking about everyone's favorite Guillermo del Toro.
Oh yeah.
He is such a visual storyteller.
For sure.
That the way he could be doing it in video games, it's unending. You could do whatever you wanted. Yeah. And I think it'd just be very interesting.
I think the masters of horror right now are in movies, and it would be great to get their input. Like, what if Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima teamed up? Because Kojima, it was like PT was the Silent Hill kind of the Silent Hills thing.
Scary.
Get Guillermo del Toro on there, just kind of give him a few tips and ideas. Ooh, that'd be spooky.
Yeah. And then we'd find out. He's like, he was the one that put the commercials in to
Death Stranding.
Yes. So he's like,
Guillermo's like,
you have to advertise that AMC motorcycle
ride is going to be so good.
So good. Otherwise people won't know about it. And you're like, actually, Guillermo, I think you're good taking a seat. He's like, okay.
Can I get in the shower in your game, please? I'll wear a full suit and it'll be so creepy. Can I?
Can I get my friend Conan O'Brien in this as well?
I've got one. It follows the dating sim.
Okay. It falls in the back of my head. Go on with the dating simulator, then I'll say my story.
Oh no, I just think it'd be nice.
So no. Continue. How you gotta? Is it like a dating game where you have to pick the one that is not currently possessed?
I think it starts with you sleeping with someone and being followed. It follows the premise is when you sleep with someone, this demon seeks you out from the ends of time. It's always coming to you, and if it gets you, presumably you die. Now you can stave it off by sleeping with other people. And then it goes.
You pass it along.
You pass it along. So I think you start by picking it up, and then you have to be really good at the dating sim, because if you get turned down on dates and you don't close the deal, next morning it may come for you.
Right. Okay. That's a really good point. Another big part of It Follows is it could be anybody. It's not like a big monster going after you.
Right.
It could be possessing an older woman or a child or a very tall man.
Yes.
And you don't know, but you could always see someone looking at you. I always like the idea of It Follows in a very populated GTA style world, and you're trying to
That's
find.
actually really good.
And you're just kind of like, that one's not moving. That one's not moving. Let's go. Get in the car. Go. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
And then like the other thing though would be like, what are you doing from day to day? Are you just like an Uber driver or something?
That's good. I like that. Yeah, you can't.
You do Uber Eats. You go to do one delivery. The door opens. It's just a tall guy with no eyes. You're like, fuck.
Oh man,
He's
like,
got apps
2
now.
stars. He's like, fuck. You'd have to have a job where you're mobile. Right. So that's the important part. I just like the idea that the other one too is we talked about this, I think the other day, but what I loved about Left 4 Dead is in the multiplayer mode, you could play as the other person.
Yes.
As you could play as the enemy that's coming after you. And if you were in a multiplayer It Follows thing, you could be the demon that's going after them and switching bodies.
Oh, that would be
unbelievable.
stuff.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be great. I've got Smile, but it's like The Thing. So you have to kind of use like deductive reasoning to suss out who was involved in the smile, because the premise of Smile is like if you've witnessed something happen by the smiling entity, then you become that over time.
Well, Mikey, I hate to break it to you. That'd be a very simple game though, because I'd be like, which one of these 5 people did it? I'm like, well, the one that's smiling. Yeah, and he's like smiling. You're like, that's him.
Well,
and he's like, I'm just happy to see you.
And you'll be like, I get it. I'm a good guy.
Hey.
I've got Black Phone, but it's like an escape room sim.
Oh, that's good.
That might be good. I know there were Saw games as well, but like a Telltale Saw game that's not quite focused on like mini games like the actual Saw game was. But
Jigsaw just on a tricycle. Jigsaw will remember that. Okay, and he's leaving. Oh,
you escape and he's just all sad. He's like, Jigsaw will remember that. You've made Jigsaw sad.
Are you going to see Saw 10?
Maybe.
Because Jigsaw's back.
Yeah, of course he is.
No, but it's a prequel, or I don't know how you call it. It's between movies 2 and 3.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually him going back to, I'm going to tell the premise of the story. I'm not going to reveal anything, but heads up.
Have you seen it?
I have
or is
not.
it not out yet?
It is currently out.
Okay.
But I'll tell everyone the premise of the thing. I just won't ruin it. But Jigsaw has life-threatening cancer, right? Which is what we know he eventually dies of in the stories of Saw. He goes to Mexico for an experimental treatment led by like a striking Nordic woman and her team of probably Mexican people.
Yeah.
And it's a scam. And they bilk him for like $250,000. Well, they bilked the wrong guy. Because now he becomes Saw and he is going to torture and kill it. And it's one of the few ones where you're like, am I cheering for Saw?
Well, it's funny because they kind of try to pull that in, I think, Saw 2 or 3, where he goes after the insurance brokerage that denied his claim. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, fuck the insurance companies, but that might be a step too far.
Yes, you could just I don't think we should kill them, but you could kill them, maybe not make them dance through 10 portals of like hell. You know, it's funny where John Wick and Saw are just the same movie, except we cheer for John Wick.
Yes.
And we don't cheer for Saw. Makes you think.
It makes you think that Keanu Reeves is just hot.
Yeah, I think we want to see a hot guy in a black suit, and we love dogs. So
that's true too. We do love dogs. John Wick probably wouldn't make a great game, but the two remaining. The Purge, enough said. Purge would be great. Battle Royale, kind of like before the Purge.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah. That would actually be, and instead of the circle closing, it's just you're running out of time and whoever racks up the most kills or something like that.
Fortnite, do a month of Purge.
Yes.
Like just do the Purge for a month.
That'd be unbelievable.
Come on.
And then Under the Skin, where it's just Scarlett Johansson trying to seduce you and you trying to resist the whole time.
I would be dead so fast.
I think I already failed that game.
I'd be so dead.
I would be so dead.
She's like, hey. And I'm like, what's up? Here's my password to my debit card.
Take me to your pool of black ink and
That is such a cool. If you haven't seen that movie, kind of a creature, maybe an alien, possibly whatever, comes in and takes the body of a human, and that body is Scarlett Johansson.
And what a body!
And what a body! Doesn't wear a lot of clothes for a lot of it, and but the death part of it is in this infinite black, this forever blackness that they go into, and it's one of the cooler visual things I've ever seen in my life. It's very, very cool. I think about it all the time. Like it's almost negative space.
Yeah, exactly. It's
cool.
really cool. Really good movie, worth watching if you haven't. Okay, let's move on. Do you have any others for that?
No. I think you said enough there. That was great.
Perfect. Let's go to the next question. This one's from JT. Didn't mention where they were from. And again,
what are you trying to hide, JT?
What are you trying to hide?
Yeah.
You think it's JT Miller of the Vancouver Canucks?
I think it is, or it's JT. Oh no, you said Miller. Never mind.
Oh, yep. Okay. Good. Hey, Daddy D-pads.
Okay.
Retrograve is my favorite time of year for podcasting. I hate that you hate it, but if you didn't, it wouldn't be as fun for us.
Yeah.
Something to consider for Retrograve. If you have to play horror games, which genre do you think makes the best of the following?
Okay.
Pure scares, best story, and best overall.
Do I have to choose one of those three?
No, so for each of them. So like, I think he means like, so for pure scares, what type of horror game do you think makes the best? I'll say, I think, and I learned this when we tried to play the demo for Resident Evil Village.
Yes.
First person is hard to beat, although VR is a pretty close.
VR, if you're going for just pure scares, it has to be VR.
It has to be.
Because you are present inside of that and having to whip around your head to look at noises that are happening around you.
And let alone like the whipping of the head, it's just it being all around you. There being no escape. You can't close your eyes. You can't look away. There is no, like when we play horror games here, we usually have the lights on because that helps a little bit.
Recording a podcast too, you know what I mean? Like it's a nice excuse. But I will say, yeah, because 2 weeks ago, Mikey... Every time you just turn around, you're like, I'm going to close my eyes. You tell me if something happens. And I'd be like, you got it, buddy. And you're like, nah. And I'm like, nah, it's still good. And you can't do that with VR. You could probably close your eyes, but like, you know, you're still, you'll
probably, that's true too. You can't even like, cause it's beaming into your head. It's scary. We learned that with Five Nights at Freddy VR Help Wanted was fucking atrocious. It was a good game, but so scary.
It was a good game. I still think about, cause Mikey had to repair a machine that if he did it incorrectly would attack him. And kill
one
him.
of the animatronics.
Or the animatronics. Thank you. And then I had an animatronic in the heating ducts.
Vents,
and I was trying to open and close and fix them while if I looked at it, it would go away. I still think about, I put that on my resume that I completed that level. Like people need to know that I did that and did it well.
I was very impressed. I was so happy you did because otherwise I probably would have had to try it. I really didn't want to do that. Really. But it's cool with VR. It gives you the ability to do like, you're like trying to press with one hand and look around with the other and you're not even looking at what you're doing. That's something that you can only get in VR. So 100%. It's kind of neat.
So yeah, I would say for pure scares, it's really hard to beat VR.
What about best story?
Best story, that's where I think you have to do first person.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Because to walk through it like the character would, you know what I mean? Yep. Even just a couple of games, the last 2 games we played on Retrograde for first person. And I think those have been very significant because it allows you to look around, pick up things, use your inventory.
Yeah.
Why? What do you think?
I think regardless of the perspective, I think just a walking sim in general is the best story.
Okay.
Now, that also does provide for a lot of jump scares, but I think it also gives you the opportunity to play something like Gone Home that I kind of do consider to be a horror game because the whole time you think something's going to happen, but is also just incredible in terms of its story.
Yeah. The scariest part is judgment by family.
Oh, and
social pressure.
Social pressure. And even when you think that your sister may have killed herself, that's not as scary as your mom disapproving of you.
Yes. Because of who you love.
Oh,
your sister loves.
Your sister loves.
Yeah, that's so disappointing.
Yeah.
But yes, and then the last one was best overall?
The last is best overall, yeah. I would go with third person. I think just generally speaking, because I think about the games that I've played and enjoyed that have a horror slant on them, and it's almost always third person. I think there's enough that you can see around you without it being so like up close and personal as a first person shooter is. And then exploration allows for a bit more mechanics because like walking sims are good, but they're not always fun. I think third person allows for some of that. So I'd probably go with that.
I think, not to be boring, but I think it's first person again because the story is the best part of the scary games.
Sure,
you know,
that's true.
Pop-out scares can be cheap. I always compare it to like candy where you're like, oh, that was good. And then you have no lasting impression of
100%.
it. It just goes away.
Yeah.
And the story is really what gives you something scary. And I think that's tied tied to the best games.
Yeah,
So first
I like
person
that.
for me.
I like that. First person all the way for you, I guess. Eh?
Well, VR
Yeah.
for the first one.
VR, sorry, yeah,
Yes.
that's true. Yeah, nothing scarier than that.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of a follow-up question
Oh.
that's
JT.
related, not from JT.
Oh.
This is a new one that's sort of related, but it's Ken again from the Pixelated Thoughts podcast,
Ken!
big friend of the podcast. And if you haven't checked out Pixelated Thoughts, either their podcast or their YouTube channel, you should. It's some great videos. Ken does a lot of he plays a lot of quick games, quick, like more bite-sized, like 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, whatever,
sure.
and always makes like a 10-15 minute video on it.
Cool.
Very well produced, very well put together, highly recommended. He asks, what's a horror game you actually enjoy playing? And this comes from a place of him actually enjoying playing horror games, which is baffling to me.
Ken, you're a real sicko.
So a horror game you actually enjoy playing. And I do like this question because a lot of the questions we got were like, what would you do to make it less scary? And he's kind of asking like,
Double
for,
down.
for what they are. Which ones do you like? Do you have any?
Yes, I would say, can I just, this is something I've wanted to talk about. I just haven't found a place to put it yet. But one of my favorite games as a kid, I was terrified by, right? Was it truly intended to be scary? I'm not sure, but I wasn't alone because a lot of people have walked away from this game when they're playing as kids and gone, man, I don't know what is about that game. It is creepy as hell.
Really?
Myst.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
I loved Myst.
Yeah.
If you had asked me at 10 years old, what do you like about Myst? I'd go, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But those brief moments of storytelling and being just so alone in the universe and the creepy music and, whatever, just worked for me. And all I wanted to do was play more. It's kind of like how you like spicy food and you go, holy God. And then you start biting more. And
Yes.
you're like, what am I doing?
Why am I doing this?
Why am I doing it? It hurts so bad. Or it hurts so good. Daddy. And so I think Myst is really high up there, even though I would wonder if they would ever, I'd love to hear the creator speak about going like, why do you think people think this was a scary game?
I think it's the loneliness. I think it's the desolation. The
Desolation. No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful out there.
That's very true.
Yes.
But I think it's also, there's something about the vibe that is off a little
unnerving.
bit. It is unnerving. I remember the first time I saw Myst, it was at your house. It was in your basement PC. Yeah. And you
just
were
one swinging light bulb, an unfinished basement with a PC
fan
set
that
up.
Was just like you were about to interrogate me or something. And I remember you walking down a long hallway and point and click next screen, and it was claustrophobic and it was like a secret passage. And I remember just thinking like, don't keep pressing. Don't go. It's terrifying. I know. So that's a great answer.
Okay.
Not traditionally a horror game, but definitely one that I think could classify as being scary to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Mine would probably be like, of course I have enjoyed horror games, and I think the one I enjoyed most was Resident Evil 4.
Right.
Resident Evil 4 was the, one of the best games of all time, one of my favorite games of all time, definitely scared the pants off of me, but also wasn't relentless with... What?
Sorry, some sexual scary monster. You're like, oh no, don't scare the pants off me. Wink, wink.
Voluntarily scared the pants off me. Yeah. But it wasn't something that I really considered to be terrifying. So I kind of wanted to take this into this question into another route. What is, if you can think of off the top of your head, the scariest game that you've enjoyed most? So like not just best scary game, like technically Myst was scary, or like technically I made it through Resident Evil 4, but the game that you loved that was scariest.
It's funny because this is such a personal question of what you find scary.
Yeah,
and also how are you balancing scare versus quality?
Right.
Or for scare versus liking. Like I love Left 4 Dead. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And the number of times I genuinely was scared because you could hear monsters coming around the corner.
That's a great answer.
And or a hunter, you can hear the scream or the witch crying and you're going, oh no, stop. Obviously Bioshock's probably my favorite game of all time. I didn't find it scary, but when my player one tried to play, she's like, this is too scary.
Bioshock?
I can't do this. Yeah.
I can see that. Atmospherically, it's terrifying.
Also, the first hour is the most scary,
yeah.
most likely. So once you can't get past that, it's really tough.
Yes.
But since I didn't find that scary and I love that game, I'm going to go right to the middle and go Left 4 Dead.
That's great. Mine would probably be, again, third person, similar to Resident Evil 4. A game that I found absolutely terrifying, but I played in spite of it, was Dead Space. Dead Space was built around pop scares and procedural scares, where Resident Evil had this like brooding, like you feel kind of helpless and you never know who's going to be around what corner or whatever. But Dead Space was like meant to put enemies where you didn't expect them, crawling through vents and popping out and scaring you. And that felt cheap to me, and like pop-out scares that I didn't like, but the game was so good that I had to keep playing with it.
You know what my least favorite pop scare of all time was?
What?
When NSYNC broke up.
Oh, Andrew, what a scare for the pop universe, indeed.
But now they're back together, so everything's okay.
Are they?
Yeah. Oh, which rock are you living under? My guy, they went on Hot Ones together.
Oh, really?
Which is, of course, the announcement of anything important. They announce where the new pope is.
Who would have thought that NSYNC gets together before One Direction? Not me.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, just look around at the group and go, are they all doing badly now? Okay, let's get back together. Harry Styles, hotter than a rocket, man.
Could you imagine Joey Fatone, his probably flip phone lights up and he sees who's calling him and it's Justin Timberlake and he's just like, oh my God. And then he answers it and there's a mistake because previously Justin had blocked Joey's number.
Yeah,
so they had to figure that out to communicate.
Do you think he just answers the phone and goes, yes? They're like, oh, yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. When? Okay, cool. I'll call Chris. Oh, okay.
Ken actually told us to play Amnesia the Bunker. That was I mentioned that last week as well, and he talked about how that game was great. He loved it. I looked up a gameplay trailer of it, and it looked fucking terrifying.
This sick guy. We can't listen to him
And he
when
said,
it comes to recommendations.
I like tense games, and I'm like, I like tense games as well, but it's the pop out scare that I don't like. And in it, I'm starting to think legitimately that it's not even a matter of preference. It's like an allergy. I think it's not like I don't like peanut butter, so I prefer not to have it. It's like if I have it, I think I'm going to die. And every time I'm playing these games, I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah. That has been a reoccurring thing that you've looked sickly.
It hurts. Physically, it hurts.
But I think you also are psyching yourself out. I don't think you're helping yourself with like these games and knowing that they're going to, and you're just already, so you're making it worse than it's going to be.
Sure.
That's
but I'm not doing that on purpose.
I don't think you are.
Yeah. It's hard not to.
No, it's fears are fears. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think the person that's afraid of pickles is like, it's rational, but like it's real, whatever.
True. Okay. You ready for another question?
I can't wait.
Okay. Let's.
Okay. Can I ask you, this is live on the podcast, but whatever. What was the game that you played a couple of years ago with your friends? It's like Phasmophobia or something?
Oh, Phasmophobia, yeah.
And you are all ghosts?
Yes. Ghost hunters.
Hunters.
Yeah.
And you're all separate, but you need to communicate with each other to do a sequence of things?
Yeah.
I have not stopped thinking about that game. I want to do that. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I'll find some people who will play it with you.
It's really scary, eh?
I find it terrifying. My friends left me in the basement once because we couldn't find the ghost. And like, you wait here. We're going to go get some more supplies from the van. Hang tight. And fucking obviously the ghost shut the door behind them, turned off the lights.
Yes.
And I'm like, guys, I'm disconnecting right now. I don't want to see what happens.
It sounds like, I love the idea of working as a team while also being scared.
It is
like
great.
having missions.
I think I would play it if I were in the same room with other people, but it's very scary when you're playing it online.
If we had a LAN party.
Yeah, that would be great. That would honestly be a ton of fun.
There's a game, I'll come up with the name and I'll tweet it out, but there's a game where you have to work with another person to discover the murders, but there's a ghost haunting them as well at the same time. And I think that'd be so much fun because my player one and I have been talking about that. It's just like, if we're doing it together, it's not as bad.
That's true.
Kind of thing.
100%.
So, yeah, I think that'd be fun.
That would definitely be worth doing. And I don't know, maybe it's a special episode.
Maybe it is a very special episode of the Retrograde podcast.
Because this month does have 5 episodes in it, which of course October always wants to fuck us over that way. Okay, here's one from. I already asked the JT question. Here's one from.
Fuck off, JT. You already got it in.
Fuck off, JT.
Yeah,
already playing. Is he the captain of the Vancouver Canucks now? I think.
Oh, who the hell cares? I don't know.
That's true. They're the Vancouver Canucks. Jackson in England asks.
Jackson.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I like hearing you.
Dude, why do a second time when you nailed it the first time, man?
Jackson.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll read it like Jackson would read it.
Oh, yeah, do that. That's a good idea.
I like hearing you.
Oh my God, was that you doing an English accent?
I fumbled the ball, Andrew. I fumbled the football, the American football.
Yeah, the American football. He's like, what is this? I don't like it.
I won't try doing the accent.
Okay.
I feel like that's the kind of thing we're going to look back on 10 years from now, and that's going to be a form of racism, probably because it is.
What, trying to do an accent of somebody?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I think England has it coming, though.
We let ourselves. That's true. That's true, too.
It's kind of like when they're like, white people walk like this. I'm like, we do. That's very good. Yes,
they're
absolutely.
getting to the point where like doing an Italian accent will get some eye rolls, and you're like, oh, okay. So they're okay. Well, they're coming for white accents now.
Well, don't ask Italian side. Yeah. Even if I can't make fun of a good pizza pie, and everyone's like, no, I'm like, no, really? Oh, that's usually that kills. That kills.
Jackson in England says, I like hearing you lot play terrifying games because I'm also too terrified to play them. Sometimes I wonder if the only reason these games are scary is because you're relatively underpowered against your enemies. Yeah. Superstar and Power Pellet aside, what's one video game power up you'd love to use to get you through this month?
Yeah, okay. I think whatever Dorothy gave the lion, I think that would be a big superpower. Courage.
A human heart? Or no,
that's the Scarecrow.
That's the Scarecrow. Where does the Tin Man get?
Tin Man gets a
Oil?
heart. No, Scarecrow gets a brain. Tin Man gets a heart. Lion
And
gets
now where
courage.
are they getting these things from?
Dead munchkins. They were alive at one time. They're dead now.
They were alive 40 seconds ago.
Extract courage from that little person. Like, oh God.
Someone just Kanos the heart out of a munchkin.
I think it's like more like the end of a toothpaste tube, like that kind of thing. No.
Yeah, that's a great one. Honestly,
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
Invisibility's good.
Oh, that's
Because then you can get the jump on the ghost.
yeah. I think
Where did he go?
telepathy.
Telepathy.
Because then that's where you can hear other people's thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, true.
Because then he's like, I'm gonna scare this guy when he comes around the corner. Okay, I'm gonna scare him so fucking good. And you're like, I'm not going around that corner. Nice try, Ghost.
Do you think that's what they'd be thinking, or they're like, get out of my house? Do you think they're angry or mischievous?
Or just screaming. Yeah. It might be just like like Kevin McCallister's dad in the mornings. Yeah. Well, that's from last week's episode. Sorry.
Yeah, true. The Tanuki suit. Because if you're scared, you just kind of hug your tail. It just like soothes you into submission.
Yeah, that's a really good question because you're going like, well, I'll just be Superman. You're like, yeah, Superman, what is he going to do against a ghost?
A ghost.
A ghost
exactly.
is still going to like fly with you and go like, your dad's not proud of you or
Yeah,
something like
Superman
that.
doesn't prevent pop-out scares, really.
No.
But you can fly away from them pretty quick.
You could. Wow, yeah, but if there are demons within you,
Ooh.
like, what are you going to do?
That's deep.
Thank you.
And just like the demons within you.
Yeah, they're not coming out.
They got a hold on you. What about a Pokeball from Smash?
How so?
Well, because I can't imagine I'm going to be afraid of a ghost if there's a Charizard beside me. You know
What
what
if
I
a
mean?
Gengar comes out?
Fuck, then it's 2v1
Ghost on
for
ghost.
the ghost.
What if the other ghost is like, come with me? And you're like, no, two ghosts.
The Gengar's like, this son of a bitch has been keeping me in a Pokeball and you get to roam around Victorian mansions all day? No,
It's pretty
thank you.
sick. This is a lot better.
Or, you know what would be scary about a Charizard, though? It's sitting there, flame tail, and all of a sudden the flame goes out.
yeah. And he looks at you like, uh-oh. And I'm like, oh, no, you're scared too?
One of the mannequins from Don't Be Afraid just blows out his tail. Oh, my God. That's a good question. That's a fun one.
That's a very good question.
I like that. Let's go for, let's try one more question here.
Okay.
This one is from Anonymous. Didn't want me to say their name. Totally fine. You guys talk about being... What are you hiding?
What are you hiding, Anonymous?
Anonymous and JT. Maybe it is JT. Just wants to get a second question. JT stands for Johnny Two Questions.
Oh, nice. That's very good. Goodfellas character.
Yeah, it is. Do you guys talk about being little scaredy boys all the time, but you spend the entire gameplay segments during Retrograve laughing? Two-part question. One, what makes a good jump scare, quote in quotes, good? Walk us through the anatomy of what works, what doesn't, what's fair, and what's cheap. Two, in spite of what you hate about jump scares, if you had to say one good thing about them, what would it be? So first, the anatomy of a jump scare.
The anatomy, very good question.
Yeah.
That's a very good question, Anonymous. I wish I could give you credit, but unfortunately...
Or what if it's anonymous?
Oh, you mean the hacker group?
The hacker group.
Oh, no.
Do they like our podcast?
You can answer. You can ask a question every week and we'll answer it. Whatever.
I want them on my side.
Yeah, 100%. Please don't dox us. This is a really good question. A good jump scare is not actually a jump scare. This is going to be my argument.
Yes, I totally agree.
There has to be a slight amount of setup to go, you're going to get scared. Because then it builds anticipation and you get that dread that's going right in the back and you're like, all of a sudden, and then bang, and then you're like, it's a release. That is so much better than, I'm going to go back to Don't Be Scared.
Okay.
Where you open a door and a bat flies away.
Yes.
There was no consequence to that. There was nothing contributing to the story. There's nothing. All it did was just, okay.
Yes, exactly.
That's pointless. That doesn't do anything.
Now, they would argue that lets you know that it's like in hockey, wasting one high on the goalie.
Sure.
And now they're going to flinch every time you shoot.
Yeah.
Now, every time you open a door, you're going to be scared whether they scare you or not. I don't agree with them doing it that way.
Yeah.
I like more like last week, the slow burn of fathoms of fear or whatever.
Fears to fathom of fears. What was that?
Fears.
God, we just played that last week.
Fears to fathom.
Fears to fathom. Thank you.
I like that slow burn setup a lot because I know what I'm in for. I know you can scare me.
Yes.
I'm not arguing that.
No one is arguing this. No, I agree with you. It has to have some consequence,
Sure.
to the story, or it has to move things along.
Yes.
But if it's just like you're like, that's
What about the scare in a movie where it's like they're tense and a cat jumps out?
Okay, now that could play a little part just to keep you on edge.
Sure.
Now, if that's doing that to set you up to a bigger scare seconds later,
Yes.
that's really works for me. But if it's like, hey, we don't have anything going on for these 5 minutes, we should really just throw something in there, that kind of sucks. It's no different than kind of going like just watching a black screen for 10 minutes and then every once in a while something pops out.
That's the equivalent of like drinking your calories. Like it's just a
Interesting.
It's just a bad way to get that.
Slowly becoming like a workout podcast. What is happening?
No, it's or eating candy or something like that.
Yes.
Like it might be what you're looking for in the moment, but ultimately is kind of
Does it contribute anything to your life?
Right.
Now, the argument for that would be you get a little bit of joy. You get something to look out for.
Right.
And I would say, because to the second question is, what is it providing? Isn't that
no. If you had to say one good thing about jump scares,
Okay.
what would it be?
It would be that it elicits emotion.
Okay.
Even if it isn't a long, a one that you'll remember or something that lasts, at least it is making you feel something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It could just be another, like, the only thing I disagree with the don't be scared thing is like, well, it puts you on edge. I'm like, I was also a little boy trapped in a doll costume.
true.
Like that is in the basement of a guy who has legitimately just threatened to kill me.
I was on edge before I opened the door.
Yeah, it's not like, and there's bats.
However, when we were playing, we were joking around and having a good time. And as soon it's like the teacher like smacking the table when you doze off during class or something like that.
Sure.
Like it got us right back into it.
Yeah.
Like we were like, fuck, let's not
What
joking
kind of like
around.
Matilda school did you go to? Jesus.
I ate a lot of cakes that were made with blood, sweat, and tears. Literally, that's the thing I remember most about Matilda, to be honest. The one thing I want to go back to when you talk about the anatomy of a jump scare, you say the buildup, you say this, and then you say the bang. I want to emphasis on the bang and how you get the bang. Now this is a sex podcast.
I was just gonna say, good God, you're horny.
We were just talking about Scarlett Johansson and Under the Skin. What do you expect from me?
I thought you were talking about chocolate cake, and I'm like, yum yum yum. Such an erection.
The bang to me, how that's pulled off is incredibly important. If there is an unrelated sound cue and the volume is set like 7 decibels higher, and that's what scares you, that is so cheap to me.
Yeah.
That it's like if the scare would have worked if I was just walking down the street and you played it next to me out of nowhere, that's not a good scare.
No.
What the best jump scares, and this is where I thought you were going when you said the best jump scares are not jump scares. The example I will give is It Follows. The tall guy walking under the door. If you go back and you watch that scene and that sequence, there's no sound cue. There's no cut to it and he's there right in front of your face. It's just the horror of your eyes not adjusting and not understanding what you're seeing. This guy who's pulling himself into the doorway almost. And it jumped and I felt electric when it happened. And I was like, holy shit, what? But it wasn't a big like, didn't come out of absolutely nowhere. And it didn't just like feel like a live wire being stuck to me. And it's like, well, you can shock me whenever you want. Just earn it. Like that one was earned.
I agree with you. Okay, so I was also thinking about it. The biggest jump scare of the last 30 years or whatever, there was like these charts of people that they would strap stuff to, the Watcher. And
The Watcher sounds like a scary movie.
The Watcher does sound like a very scary. Who's watching The Watcher? And it was from Insidious. I don't know if you ever seen Insidious.
Yeah, a movie that I cannot believe has been remembered as well as it has, but go on.
Because the end is very silly when you're in there.
When you see the devil making puppets and looking down at everyone from like a manager's window.
Yeah, that's the movie. You've
Yeah,
seen
that's
it.
the
Okay,
one.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
When Patrick Wilson's at the dinner table and they cut back and the red demon is slowly kind of coming up above his shoulder, right? It's over his shoulder. And
Not slowly.
he's just there.
The camera cuts away from him. And then it cuts back to him, and he's behind Patrick Wilson, and there's the massive sound cue.
Right. So that's the one that people have ranked that it's so much, people have such a reaction to that more than any other one. That, it goes against all the things we're talking about because it's kind of cheap. Like the camera cuts to another shot and of course he's not there and then the music cuts. But you can't argue with that it does get results.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it is going to make you feel scared.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If you have a pain in your arm, you can chop it off and that's getting rid of the pain, but it's not the best way to go about it. Like getting results, but just throwing out all convention with it. I hated that. That is the jump scare. I didn't know which one you were going to bring up, but that is maybe my least favorite jump scare I've ever seen. Not because it's
for a lot of people
scary.
too. Oh, no, okay.
Not because it's so scary, but because it is so cheap. Like if Patrick Wilson is talking to someone across the table from him, what does that person see?
Yeah, but like,
the devil just slowly creeping behind him, like shh, and then gets behind him and then plays a trombone. Is it like, what the fuck is that?
Trombones are hilarious. It's like the end of a Mario level.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but okay, so let's do this. How about little like drug cabinet mirror above your sink? Right? Closes it. Something behind you.
Yeah.
Better or worse?
Better,
because the camera didn't cut. It was just action.
It was organic in the scene, but I still don't think if you do that and you need a sound cue, a big jolt of sound, then it's not a good scare. The best ones you don't need them for, and they do exist, and those are the creative ones. I have this weird thing where I compare bad horror movies to like bad like dating movie, like romantic movies.
They're rom-coms.
Where you can watch it, like The Fault in Our Stars. And I remember my brother watched it and he's like, it's so sad. It's so well done. I'm like, it is sad. I don't know that it's well done.
Your brother's takes are just
it's so crazy.
just
They're all over the place.
He's like, I've read every Nicholas Sparks novel because of this.
It's that they kind of like how Don't Be Afraid really doubled down on all the grotesqueness to like try to make it more scary. It's like Unka Pachka. So was Fault in Our Stars. The cancer, the war, the death, the this, the that. And it's like, it's not hard to write that.
Which one of these things do you want to be sad about? Don't worry. We put them all in.
We put them all in. Exactly.
We put them all in.
Exactly. And just like in horror, like it's not hard to get a jump scare. So just, if you're going to do it well. Don't do it cheaply. And I say that as someone who doesn't like them. And I know a lot of people love the paranormal activities of the world, but I don't. I hate them. If I have to say one nice thing, which is the second part of the question, one positive thing,
they make me like other parts.
Is that when they happen, you know, you're 10 minutes away from the next one at least, so you got a little reprieve.
That's a good point.
But there is that feeling of like you've touched danger and survived.
It's like a live wire.
It's like a live wire, which I guess is something positive. But no, I will say that the good ones.
Patrick will say. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
The good ones, like the one from It Follows, when done well, achieve their goal and stick in my memory like for eternity.
Yeah,
I remember most of the best jump scares I've ever seen. The Babadook had one of them as well, where she's just looking out through the window and you see the Babadook in like another house over, and it's kind of in shadows and you're not sure what you're looking at. And it's that adjustment period where your brain takes a second to understand the unworldly. It's like a Lovecraftian scare where it's like, this is so scary because I don't understand it.
Your brain almost can't process.
Yes, exactly.
The idea. You know, one of this here, this is not even a good movie, but one of the things that scared me so much as a kid was in Jeepers Creepers.
Oh,
okay. Not when he gets wings and flies around or does all this crazy, not like the true elements of horror. It's more back to the normal stuff, kind of like last week's game a little bit, where you're driving along the highway and you look over and a guy is taking bodies, or you think, in sheets out of a truck, and you're like, what the fuck is that? But it's hundreds of feet away. You feel safe because it's so far away. And then he turns around and looks at you and realizes you're watching. When people realize you are looking, it's a very scary idea. And then he goes, and he gets in his car and you're like, holy fuck. Oh my God. I didn't do anything wrong. All I did was observe, but you were there.
That's great.
It's because you were home.
Because you were home. This is the stranger's corollary.
Yes.
That's it, Andrew, for the questions. Some great questions.
Great
there.
questions.
I love exploring what it is I like and dislike about horror, what makes it good, what makes it bad. Because I will say, kind of like spicy foods. When the spice is right.
Yes.
Oof, it's some of the best stuff you can consume.
Oh, absolutely. Why do we love it? Because it hurts and it's fun and it's addictive. So there you go. Well, we love every single one of you. We can't wait to continue Retrograde soon and can't wait to talk to you soon. My name's Andrew Bascom. No, Patrick Wilson. No, Andrew Bascom. And that is the bad boy podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey Howard.
This is the Retrograde podcast because you were home. Game over.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Andrew, is that a devil behind you?
Don't make me turn around. Oh, it was.
Oh.